We're ready when you are.
Okay. I'll call this meeting of the Seward City Council to order. It is 7 p.m. on Monday, February 26, 2024. Chief, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Yes, ma'am. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Roll call for tonight's meeting. Finch?
Here.
Osenga?
Here.
Calhoun?
Here.
Wells?
Here.
Barnwell?
Here.
Here.
Kreitz? And Mayor McClure.
Here.
Okay, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much. We have citizen comments on any subject except items scheduled for public hearing. We have no public hearing items. And you'll have 3 minutes to speak. And the only people signed in will go first. And then if anybody else out there wants to speak, raise your hand. I'll call on you, and we have 36 total minutes. Mr. Clerk, has anyone signed in?
There is one person signed in, Russ White.
Okay, and as you know, you need to state your name and inside or outside city limits. And we appreciate you coming.
Russ White, outside city limits. Just talking about sports and rec and what we have going on and what we've been doing. Yesterday we did the Grizzly Glide ski race, and that was a success. We had about 20 participants. We had Seward Nordic Ski Club help us out, as well as Bear Creek Fire, so just want to say thank you to them. We couldn't ask for a better day weather-wise as well. Today we started our winter adventure camp with middle schoolers. We went up to Lost Lake and hiked with them. And just kind of played in the snow. Tomorrow we're going to go on a cat tour with Adventure 60 North out to Exit Glacier, and we'll be doing that all this week with those guys. So thank you to JAG, who helped sponsor that, and Adventure 60 North for helping us with the tour. And then the last thing that I want to talk about that we did in the past, Northern Latitudes Film Festival we had at Avtech was super successful. We had 70 folks show up, and we ended up getting a donation from Alyeska Ski Area, and someone won a prize for a free ski pass. And then upcoming in March, looking forward to our Haiku Hiking Challenge. If you want to get out and do something on your own, take a look at that. It'll be up on our website, the city website. Volleyball League is starting. Still looking for a few more teams. That's for Wednesdays in March all through April. And we'll have a St. Patty's Day parade again on St. Patrick's Day, bringing that back from a few years ago. It'll kind of be just a not super formal thing. And the last thing, really looking forward to, hopefully have good weather for a snowball fight in mid-March. I did it a couple years ago. It was super popular. So if you're interested in the snowball fight, come on out for that. Our March newsletter is out, or it will be out tomorrow, but our calendar is out if you want to stop by Avtech and grab one, or look on the website and see what's going on. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else signed up? You said just one, right? Does anyone out there want to speak for 3 minutes on any topic? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the citizen comments. There will be time at the end to comment also. And now we're approval of the agenda and the consent agenda, and I'd ask for a motion to approve in a second, please.
I'll move for the approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Are there any changes that anyone wants to make? I'll do that at the time. Okay, I think we're ready to vote.
Voting on the approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda, Osenga?
Yes.
Finch?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Calhoun?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Okay, your agenda and consent agenda have been approved, and on the consent agenda was the approval of the February 12th, 2024 City Council meeting minutes, Resolution 2024-013, accepting a scholarship award from the Public Library Association in the amount of $750 for a travel stipend to attend the Public Library Association 2024 conference and appropriating funds, Resolution 2024-014, accepting the program stipend in the amount of $3,000 from the American Library Association and the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum to host the Americans and Holocaust Traveling Exhibition and appropriating funds, and to reappoint Nathaniel Charbonneau to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term set to expire February 2027.
Okay, thank you. We have no proclamations and awards, so now we have the city manager report, and you'll find that starting on page 5 of the packet. Madam
Thank you.
City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are a few things I'd like to highlight tonight. The first is with the approval of the consent agenda, you just reappointed Nathaniel Charbonneau to the Planning and Zoning Commission. That leaves us with 4 commissioners on the Planning and Zoning Commission at this time. So I'd really like to get the word out there that if anybody's interested in applying, the application's available at the clerk's office, and we'd be really excited to see some new faces on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Also, last meeting, I said that this would be the meeting where we would see the Matanuska Electric contract for approval. Unfortunately, due to some poorly timed jury duty and different things, we will not see that until next meeting. But with that delay, we'll also be able to have representatives from MEA to speak to that when they're here. So that'll be a really nice thing coming down the pipe next week. The latest second edition of the City Manager newsletter was published on the City of Seward Facebook page this afternoon. Been getting a lot of really good feedback from that, but I would love to hear if anybody wants to see any changes or anything else specifically highlighted in that newsletter. We're working on a web page for that as well on the website, but it's currently being posted on Facebook. We've also, with this dodgy weather that we've been having some more avalanches than normal along Lowell Point Road. So a word of caution to anybody out at Lowell Point to drive safely as they're coming in and out of town. And then in the laydown presented today is the Central Treasury Report from the Finance Department. And at a previous meeting, we discussed why they are on a 2-month delay. So we're currently seeing the December 31st, 2023 Central Treasury Report. And we did some looking into that, and I talked with the Finance Department, and this is a policy that we've had since 2008, and this 2-month delay allows us to close the financials so that we present to you the most accurate information. Since these financials are set to end December 31st, we then spend January up until now closing all of the accounts and all of the payments going in and out through that month, so that when we bring this forward to you, it doesn't have any outstanding invoices or payments that need to be adjusted, and it's the most accurate information that we can send. If we were to send it a month earlier, it would just have a fluctuation of payments that we're still accounting for and getting in line. So the month following, we go through and address all of those accounts. The last thing I'd like to add is that Councilmember Bob Barnwell almost beat me at the Grizzly Glide yesterday, and I don't know if I'm going to get over that anytime soon.
Thank you. Mr. Bickling, do you have any?
No comments. Thank you.
Okay. Are there questions? Yes, Councilmember Rowland.
Yeah. I have a question related to the power outage that we had last week.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first got on council that if we had a power outage, we would get a group text message with, I believe, all the council members. And because instantly I know I start getting text messages, hey, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. And I was just wondering if there was a way that we could bring, or if maybe nobody's interested in that, but
No, definitely.
if we could bring back that, when, if there's a power outage or an emergency, if we could have an instant group text message.
So we technically can't do a group message because of the Open Meetings Act, and that would be a violation of that since it creates a group of more than 3 of you. It's like why we can't have a full CC of email addresses. In the past, I've done individual texts, and I'm more than happy to do that moving forward if that's something. I will say sometimes I second guess myself when I send you text messages at 3 a.m. About a power outage, but if everybody is on board with receiving those messages when power is out or there's a emergency of any type, I'd be happy to move forward with that. I will say you heard about the power outage before I did this time, but always good information too.
If we individually let you know that we would like that,
Yeah.
then is that-
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have to say right
Yeah, you don't
now.
have to tell me right now. Just send me a text if you'd like me to
there.
send you texts when there's outages and stuff, and I'll
Yes.
check
But
that.
I did want to say thank you for being so quick to respond, and I know that you had just gotten home and had no idea what was going on, so thank you.
No,
I
of course.
appreciate it.
I get those calls too, whenever the power's out from a lot of people, and so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's been one of my requests.
Yeah, and I will say, we do have we are working on being more diligent about getting those onto Facebook as well, while we're in this transitionary period, or social media and different ways to broadcast that. While we're in this transitionary period of finding a management, it's something I forgot to do this time, but moving forward, definitely something that we'll anticipate doing, of posting updates through the electric utility Facebook page and other areas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Yes.
Just one question on the CTR. Do we know when the CPV funds from KPV are coming through? Since we're still showing $852,000 shortage there. Is that something that's
Yeah.
just a curiosity on my part?
Yeah, of course, I'll invite Suli to speak to that.
Good night, Mayor. On that fund, that represents the payment through the sewer city tours. So we receive those funds at the end of the year. We haven't received it yet. I can keep you posted on when we receive it.
We'll double check.
So we would normally have gotten them up maybe by now for 2023?
Would normally be seeing it probably around this time, so we'll do a push and see where they're
We're
at.
still making adjustments for 23, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Cool. But yeah, that one's been read for a while, so.
Councilmember Kreis?
Question I had was the hospital enterprise fund, the difference from 2022 to 2023. I don't know if you could clarify from 804,000 to 2.2 million.
I will get back to you on that one. Definitely.
What
I
was
can
that?
get back to you with that information. I don't have it on hand as of right now.
Okay. Any other? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
City clerk report on page 14. Mr. Clerk, what do you have for us?
So the clerk report in this packet is just a look at the mobile vending application packet based on all the fee schedules and the resolutions that were passed. And so that's live, it's on the website, and there's printed copies upstairs in that brochure rack. And we'll start taking new applications March 1st.
March 1st, I was going to ask you. And that's out there now on
It
the
is out there.
website and everything. Okay, and that includes the changes we made the other meeting.
It does.
I saw that, so. Okay, any questions for the clerk? All right. We have no other reports and things, so that brings us to presentations, and we have one. Seward Children's Museum, Rhonda Bohart has a presentation for us. And I guess you do need to tell us who you are, even though we might know.
So I'm Rhonda Bohart. I'm in the city limits. Thank you all for having me here tonight to talk to you about our museum. I'm the program developer for the Children's Museum here in town, which is a part of HYPER, and then we are a program of SBC, the Sewer Prevention Coalition. So raise of hands, how many of you guys have ever heard of a children's museum? Okay, awesome. How many of you guys ever been to a children's museum? Okay, okay, awesome. So we started in 2021, because you can't ask questions. Okay, our mission is to build a space that kids feel awe and wonder and inspires them to explore, discover, and create. So currently we're a pop-up museum. So pop-up museum is a museum where we just pop up for a set amount of time, and then we close up shop, and we just do it in various places throughout our community. So kind of our history. Our very first exhibit was back in 2021, and our first exhibit was called Gateway to Alaska. It was at Temple Studios, and we were there for a month. And it was about the early history of Seward from 1900 to 1920. In 2022, we developed our second exhibit, which was Help the Kelp, and it focused on kelp, sea urchins, and otters and how they work together to keep our ocean healthy. And we've popped that up at farmers markets and then also the Mermaid Festival. In 2022, Hyper and SPC, we worked together with the National Science Foundation, and we brought up a museum exhibit called In Search of Our Secrets, which was focused on JOIS Resolution, which is a deep ocean drilling research vessel. And they found out really cool science stuff on there, like about tectonic plates and earthquakes, tsunamis, and lots of other science stuff. So the museum exhibit was all about that. It was at the library. They were generous enough to host us for 2.5 months there. That's pretty awesome. And then in 2023, we developed our third exhibit, which was Ron's Construction Zone, focusing on the building trade. And we were at Farmers Market and 4th of July Festival. In 2024, so currently we're working on a new exhibit called Little Farmers Market. And we're going to pop up at the Farmers Market. And we're going to have pretend chickens and bees in a garden, and then a little farmer's market. And it's looking at farm to market and how that works, and then also how chickens and bees in the garden work together. Which brings us to why I'm here today. So our current big, so we have that museum happening in the summer, but our big project for 2026 is we want to make a permanent space for the Children's Museum. The overall theme of our museum is going to be Little Seward, and it's going to be focused on Seward industries, businesses, arts, culture, history, and different STEAM activities. We're going to have spaces in our museum for ages 6 months to 12 years old. We're also going to have a family-friendly cafe, a small store, and a family resource center. Some of our exhibits, we're going to have a mini post office, mechanic shop, a little market, water tables, tree climber, pneumatic tubes, a vet station, a cafe, ranger station. We're also going to have an area focused on crawlers, little kids that aren't walking yet. We're going to have a Lego pit, art area, lots of other things. That's just some of our exhibits that we're going to have there. So why should you care? Why should the City of Seward care? This is our future workforce. And studies have shown that children who visit children's museums before kindergarten are testing higher in reading, math, and science. Another important thing is return on investment. So PNC Bank did an economic research impact study a few years ago, and they found for every $1 you spend, there's a $13 return on investment. That's because children are better prepared for school and for the workforce. And so not only will this be good for the children of Seward, but it's also great for our tourism industry. 47% of people visiting Seward have at least one child 16 years or younger with them. And the Chamber has been saying that they need more family-friendly activities here in town. So this is a win for our children and for the children who visit our community. Another thing, World Economic Forum posted back in December a recent research study that talked about the top 5 skills they need for employees for the future. They were analytical thinking, creative thinking, understanding AI and big data, leadership, curiosity, and lifelong learning. All of those skills are developed in something like a children's museum. What do the numbers look like? So we're looking at $1 million for a building, and then $500,000 for exhibits with a total of $1.5 million. And how can you help? How can the City of Seward help? We need people to volunteer to help build this and fundraise for this. We need people to donate financially and to advocate for the museum. Hyperseward.org is our website, and on our website we have all of that information. We have a donate page if you want to donate. We also have a volunteer button if you want to volunteer, and we have all of our past exhibits so you can see the work we've done before. And you can see, we also have our current project on there so you can see about that. So, yeah. I got 4 minutes, 15 seconds.
That's very good, very good timing. Questions from council? Yes, Councilmember Calhoun.
So 1.5 million, do you have any of that yet? I guess my main question, just from a financial standpoint, is any or part of the grant that the city gave to Hyper a few years ago going to be used for this project?
Yeah, none of that is going to be used for this project. That is only for child care development, and this is separate. So Hyper has the two sides. We have child care development and education. So this is separate.
Other questions? Well, I know children's museums are generally well attended and well appreciated. That when you had the one at Temple, it was amazing for my little guys. So wish you the best.
Thanks for
Thank you
having
for
me.
letting people know.
Thank
And you know, people watch this on YouTube, so the awareness will be out there. So
Okay, thank you, sir.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, we go all the way to unfinished business resolutions. And we have resolution 2024-010. Mr. Clerk, would you please read this in?
Unfinished business, Resolution 2024-010, approving the city manager to enter into a contract with Tyler Technologies to provide computer-aided dispatch and report management software to the city of Seward for an initial cost of $101,360 and an annual recurring cost of $73,856 and appropriating funds. This resolution was postponed on February 12th, 2024.
Okay, and it's on page 58, and so we've already moved and seconded to approve. So I'll turn it over to administration. What did you ask for this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The administration would request that you postpone this again until April 8th, 2024, so that we can have some further discussions about what we would like to suggest.
Okay, well, I will make the motion to postpone Resolution 2024-010 to the April 8th meeting, and I'd ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Clerk, we're ready to vote.
Voting to postpone the resolution to April 8th, 2024. Barnwell,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
Finch,
Yes.
Osenga,
Yes.
Calhoun,
Yes.
Kreitz,
Yes.
and Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Okay, that resolution has been postponed.
Okay, and the other item we have in new business, a resolution, Resolution 2024-015. And when you're ready, Mr. Clerk, if you would read that, please.
Resolution 2024-015, directing the city manager to permanently close the city jail.
Okay, and you'll find that on page 69, and I'd need a motion to approve in a second, please.
I'll move for the approval of Resolution 2024-015.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We had a discussion about this at the prior meeting, and we're able to bring a resolution forward to this meeting to move to permanently close the city jail. We have Chief Nickel on hand for any further questions or any more discussion that you may have at this time.
Okay. Discussion, questions from council? Wow. Councilmember Calhoun.
Yeah, I do have one question. Did we find out exactly how this will impact the PERS situation with those positions, or?
No, we have not found out how this will impact the PERS. We have a few options moving forward that we will explore and hopefully be able to limit that impact as much as possible. We did some basic estimations, but the reality is until you do a PERS study, you don't know what that number is going to be. So we haven't initiated that study at this time.
When, in my ignorance on the PERS system,
Yeah.
I apologize, does it make a difference if those positions are shifted to a different department?
A position cannot be shifted if you change more than 50% of the position description. And unfortunately, all of these positions, more than 50% of them is managing and maintaining jail. So it would be while a great idea and one that I wish we could do, under the PERS system, we're not able to do that.
Councilmember Barnwell.
I just wondered, in the future, if we were to reopen a jail, or when we build the new police building. Is that in the plans to open another jail, and will that be difficult to reinstate?
I would say from an administration standpoint, this discussion and this moving to close the jail would permanently close the jail, and we would find a solution with the state so that they take that on in perpetuity, therefore bringing down the costs of a new public safety building on our end, so we wouldn't have to build a jail in it.
Councilmember Wells.
Thank you, Mayor. I know the size of our community right now can get by without a jail, but I had brought it up earlier that we are growing, and we could continue to grow. So it is feasible that one day our community could need a jail. Is that correct? And if so, will we be able to have a jail in the future if we needed it?
Yeah, so I think, yes, completely feasible if as our city is, we can continue to grow and need a jail. Depending on what the outcome of this resolution is, if it does move forward and we do close the jail at this juncture, we may find a solution that works better for the entire community moving forward indefinitely. But if we don't get to that point, and in 10 years we're building a public safety building, or 5 years, however quickly we can get to that point, and it looks like we'll be growing and and council at that time would like to still move forward with including a jail in that building, we can do that. That would also be a good discussion, yeah, and then it would play into the PERS thing as well, but we can navigate that.
Councilmember Barnwell, did you have?
Yeah, I just wondered, other cities our size, do they have jails? And is it because we have Spring Creek that allows us to house inmates or male inmates, make all the difference?
So the thing that makes all the difference with Spring Creek is the hiring ability. At this point, we can't compete financially or salary-wise with them to hire any employees. We do have those facilities there that we hope to work with the state and the DOC to find a solution to house our prisoners in some way, shape, or form, or our inmates. So yes is the answer, I guess, to that. We are in a unique situation where other small communities have jails, but they also don't have a state penitentiary as well.
Councilmember Wells.
She actually wrapped it up for me, thank you.
Okay. Other questions? Comments? Are we ready to vote? It appears we're ready to vote, Mr. Clerk.
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2024-015. Kreitz,
Yes.
Calhoun,
Yes.
Finch,
Yes.
Osenga,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
Barnwell,
Yes.
and Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Okay, that resolution has been approved.
All right. Other items we have, the Providence financials can be found on page 74. And we now have on the list, a comprehensive plan discussion. Oh.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor,
yes.
I actually had a couple
had
of
something
questions
about
on the
it.
Providence financials, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's find page 74 first. Okay.
I guess just looking through, I can understand some of it. I actually think that there may be a work session in our near future on this whole Providence Mountain Haven thing, but do we know what system pooled cash is?
Oh, man.
It's under current assets, second line down, and
For Providence.
you know, it's a negative
Yeah.
5 million. Last year it was a negative 2 million. I was just kind of curious what that was. Do you know?
I'm trying to put my Providence Board Advisory Council hat on, and I think it's too far in that chamber for me to get at the moment, but I can reach out to Carrie and get that answer for you.
Good.
System pooled cash.
I don't know what that means either. Other questions?
Yeah, not really, because I think if we can get to a work session on Providence, that would probably
Yeah, I think that'd be
much
great.
better forum for that.
Yeah, invite them as well.
Okay.
Great.
My question just is I agree with Councilmember Calhoun. My question is when are we, do we have an idea on when we plan on scheduling a work session for that? Because I think,
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
Great.
Could we-
would you like me to bring forward a work session date and work with Providence to find a good date for all of us to come to a work session?
Is that, I'm seeing a lot of nods.
I would appreciate that.
Sooner than later.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Would be better, but.
Cool.
Okay,
I'll-
so directed.
So directed. Noted.
Any other?
Schedule.
Okay, so comprehensive plan discussion. I know Councilmember Barnwell kind of brought this forward, but administration, do you want to speak first to it? And then I'm going to
yeah.
turn it over to Mr. Barnwell.
I'll speak first to it by saying I did attend a planning and zoning meeting where they tackled this at a first level, and it was a really great meeting. I'd recommend anybody just watch it or go through those that comprehensive plan yourself and kind of see where we're at in comparison to where we were when it was created 10 years ago?
2017.
2017, so about 7 years ago. And just think about the change that we've had in that time. Jason, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this conversation has kind of been bouncing around a little bit, and you know, it does need to be updated. Also, I think we need to look at our philosophy about how we look at this document. Updating a document every 10 years just makes it so that you have this massive heavy lift, and it's really hard to kind of get back, and you've lost a lot of that history along the way. And so I think it might be good to, as we look at revising this document, but also look at like how often it's revised, more like an annual update like we do the Muni Land Plan now. We did that big heavy lift, and it just makes it a lot easier to keep this document up when you're just looking at it more often. So I know that Councilmember Barnwell has some stuff he'd like to talk about it, because we've been in conversation about some things, so.
Okay, so Councilmember Barnwell. go ahead.
Yeah, I wrote up something because I can't think of my feet very well. I should have been sitting. But I've had some great talks with the city manager and assistant city manager. And I've been pushing this comprehensive plan since I got on. I think mainly what sparked me to really dive into the comprehensive was an AML conference where they talked exactly what Jason just talked about, that these comprehensive plans are used constantly, and if they're a living document, if they're alive, if we're using it constantly and tweaking it as we use it, it's a much better model. So a lot of these are online now and are used actively, and I don't think ours obviously is used as actively or as a resource that it could be. But I wrote this up real quick. The city's comprehensive plan is the heart of our town's vision. It drives what we do on a daily basis. Without a vision forward, a city can be disjointed and fragmented. A comprehensive plan ties together different stakeholders, including the public, and coordinates growth and sustainability. I'd like to be clear that this push to update our comprehensive plan doesn't reflect a lack of work by P&Z or community development. I think we all understand that both of these groups have worked hard the last several years to clean up our zoning and code language, including the short-term rentals regulations, the developer reimbursement program, building project, and updating the municipal land use plan, which was just finished up. And those are all core parts of our city. These guys have worked hard. These are heavy lifts. So I want to acknowledge that. Also that our plan, the heart of our plan is a decent plan. There's a lot there. It just needs updating. Now that we've hired a community development director, it's time to update it. Our existing plan states that we maintain community vision through rigorous implementation and update of the comprehensive and land use plans. We've done the land use plans, we have not done the comprehensive recently. It also says regular review, update, and affirm the comprehensive and land use plans through public participation in town meetings, outreach to community groups, and increased public relations. And I think we're failing on that in some regards, particularly without a newspaper. I'm really worried about not getting public participation in our planning process. Finally, we have major projects coming our way, including the Lowell Canyon Diversion Tunnel, the new cruise ship terminals and docks, the Chugachimute Clinic, Public Works housing, our building, and planning for the police and fire halls. We've also had major upgrades at SMIC, including the new Coast Guard ship and personnel coming in. if you go through the comprehensive plan, it's kind of stunning how old our data is and how few tables, maps, and really resources there are in it. And some of the data goes back to 2000 and 2010 census, so that's almost 15 years in some of the longer. So I think in order to make good decisions, we need good data. I also really believe that GIS is becoming much more of a component on these, and GIS, we can layer this information, and I think merging and layering that information for us or for all the stakeholders is important. City of Homer, by the way, is doing a $650,000 lift on theirs. I don't think we need that. Thank gosh, we don't have to spend that kind of money. I think we can do it in-house, and I think that's great. I hope that we can ask the community and different stakeholders to join us in conversations in the next couple of years on this. And it might take a couple of years. I don't think there's any rush. Jason and I and Kat and I have been talking about that. This isn't like we need this done in a month or 2 or 3 or 5. It's going to be ongoing. Having said that, I think we really need to come up with a plan and timeline. And I would like, Jason and I were talking about like recommending that we direct the admin and planning and zoning to come up with a timeline or a structure. And I think Jason's had some good ideas on the structure. For instance, starting right away with what they did with the last planning and zoning, where they went through stuff that's obsolete, right? And then further steps would be figuring out what we're missing and data and information, maps. There's all kinds of steps. Well, not that many, but a few. So anyways, they come up with a draft plan and a time frame and bring it back to council for us to review. So if there's any questions.
When we were talking, I had written down that you were talking about a timeline that would involve first, maybe like has begun, the cleanup of what's there,
Yeah.
getting rid of the outdated information and such, and then to identify the needs, like what's needed, like you're saying maps and whatever, and then to organize some method of community input.
Yeah.
And
We
those
had-
would be the first 3
That's
things.
really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
like for instance, right now there's no language in it for short-term rentals.
Right.
Yeah, or the reimbursement, building reimbursement program, as an example.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the other thing that hopefully maybe what we can do, since we're saving a lot of money not having to hire a contractor out of Anchorage to manage this, is we talked about with the with our management of our city managers of having a mediator for some city-wide community discussions, where someone from outside comes in and helps us mediate some targeted conversations on some of this stuff that we do.
Since we're having this discussion and somebody's listening out there in Seward world, could the administration, I'll turn it to you, could you tell me the difference or how they relate between the comprehensive plan and the strategic plan? Because people don't know this. Since we're talking now.
Yeah. I think Councilman Barnwell said it. It's like the comprehensive plan is really kind of like our heart and soul and who we see ourselves now and who we want to continue to be in some ways and who we need to grow into being. But that's kind of like our vision. But then the it can have like certain specific elements like a harbor development or pieces like that. But then the strategic plan is how are we going to get there? And that's, I feel like, is a lot. The comprehensive plan is really like a community document because it's who we kind of see ourselves as, but then the strategic plan is more of a plan that council and administration work on because it's on the day-to-day business, like where are you going, how are you getting there, what plans are we doing, and it's kind of the working document of how that vision gets worked out. So.
Well said. Thank you. Because there is some confusion or thinking they're the same thing, and they're not. Specifically, what you're referring to here is the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
Then. Okay. So, do we agree that we can give direction to administration to start working on this?
Absolutely.
I'm seeing head nods like crazy. And do you have enough direction from us to?
Yeah, so we'll come back, we'll talk with planning and zoning and move forward with creating a timeline and those steps. I think we have a good baseline of the first few steps as we go through, but.
Which is even more reason
Exactly.
to apply to be on planning and zoning, because you could be at the leading edge of something really exciting for Seward by being on planning and zoning.
And I would also like to add that the community engagement part is a really big part of all of this, and once we do get to that point, we'll have many different outlets. I know in the past we've done a lot of in-person engagement, but the online ability to add input into these community resources now has expanded since 2017, so we'll look forward to unveiling some cool ways to do that as well.
Excellent. Okay, did you have anything else to add, or anyone else? Okay, moving along, we have informational items. We have the January 9th Planning and Zoning minutes in the packet. We have the January 3rd Port Commerce Advisory Board minutes also. And this brings us to citizens' comments. I don't see a lot of citizens out there, but I'll ask the question anyway. Is there any citizen that would like their 5 minutes of comment time? Okay, seeing none, brings us back to council and administration comments and responses to citizen comments, which we can respond to earlier comments or whatever. So administration.
I have nothing at this time. Thank you for this count. Yeah,
Wow.
thank you. Yeah.
And Mr. Bigley.
No comments, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to start with Mr. Barnwell tonight, just because.
I'm really excited about the comprehensive plan. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I really do encourage people to get involved, and planning and zoning would be a really fun way to do that. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Councilmember Kreitz. Comments? Councilmember Wells.
I want to say how excited I am about the Children's Museum. When Jennifer and I were in Japan after the Obihiro visit, we went to, unfortunately it was closed, but we walked up to a massive Children's Museum just outside of Tokyo, and when we got up the next morning to leave to head to the airport, there was a line of people waiting to get into this thing. This is like a 3-story, huge, incredible place. And I've seen some of the ideas that the Children's Museum is putting together, and it is going to be a huge benefit to Seward. So I recommend that anybody in the community who wants to see something positive for the community help out, either volunteer or financially. It's going to be a great thing.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Fitch.
I echo what Councilmember Wells says, but I also remind everybody that between now and Friday, we're going into single digits with wind and minus temperature, so please leave a faucet dripping.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Calhoun.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's a good information tonight. I appreciate what everybody put together earlier. And one thing, I know you guys get beat up about work sessions and things, but I still also, in addition to what we've already talked about, would like to get a report, a more comprehensive report, or maybe a work session on where we're at with our electric infrastructure project. And so we can look at what's going to happen once all this snow and stuff is gone, and we continue to work on that, because I just don't think we still have a really good handle on that. I want to welcome Mr. Schaefermeyer into the finance family. I think that's a great asset for us, and that's gonna work really well. I will echo the city manager's plea for people to look at Planning and Zoning Commission. It is extremely important, and it does take time, dedication, and work, but it's also a good step if anybody is interested in getting involved in city government and maybe sitting at this dais as a city council member down the road. Planning and zoning is a good place to get your feet wet in that, to understand how things work and what's really going on. So I would just encourage people to really look at that. It's an important commission, and we need to have some of those seats filled. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Vice Mayor Osenka.
Yeah, I'd also just like to say, thanks to Rhonda for her Children's Museum presentation. It is an exciting idea. Thanks to administration for all the information that they're able to bring us, and thank you, kudos to our boards and commissioners for all they do. I mean, it does take a little bit of time, a little bit of effort to, it is a commitment, but it is well worth it, I think. That's it.
Okay, well, I echo all of that. As planning and zoning goes, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it was planning and zoning where I began my meteoric rise to this exact position. So, and my plan when I'm not in this exact position is to go back to planning and zoning. It's that important because as long as it's community service and it's the most important part of it, I think. And so I really recommend any citizen of Seward that has any inkling, go to a meeting, find out what it's about, watch it on YouTube and see if you think you like it, and then apply. And I love children's museums. My son and I went to all of them when he was growing up outside, and I had my grandson at the one at Temple Studios when they had it a couple summers ago, and they're wonderful, and I'm hoping that they can pull this off because it would be a real asset to Seward, and so there's that. And be careful out there driving. The street people have been doing a really good job of trying to keep up with the craziness and the ice and the slush and then the ice and then the wind and the drifts and then slush and the ice. And my mom always said there were 4 false springs, and I think we've had 2 so far. So we got a couple more maybe, and then there will be springs. So we're looking forward to it. And with that, if there's nothing else, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:47.